clearing close in the forest you'll find a fabulous banquet, a fairy ball. If you close your eyes and you open your mind, the veil disappears and you'll see it all.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and for today's video I am doing the first of what I would like to begin as a series here on my channel, and that is exploring the dark original versions of the fairy tales that we have come to know and love over the years. I think it was a couple of years ago that I first heard about the fact that Disney movies and fairy tales were actually based on like a really dark original version. But until I did the research to film today's video, I didn't realize just how dark and twisted some of these original fairy tales really are. For this particular video, we're going to be exploring what I think are the top 3 most shocking out of all of the ones that I looked into as far as the main fairy tales go, like what we grew up with, as far as like the most popular. But there are so many, so if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a comment down below, because there are some modern ones, there are some other classic tales, and there are just so many creepy things going on behind them. So without further ado, let's get into this, because I personally didn't realize, like I said, just how dark it is, and I think you guys are gonna be pretty surprised too. So the first fairy tale that I want to talk about is actually the Little Mermaid. Now, I loved The Little Mermaid as a kid. I was terrified of Ursula. I would actually see Ursula on my wall as a kid. It was just a traumatizing experience, but I loved The Little Mermaid. So much like The Little Mermaid that we've all come to know, Little Mermaid saves a prince and falls deeply in love with him. Now she goes ahead, like the movie that we know, and visits Ursula, the sea witch, and makes a deal with her in order to gain legs in exchange of her voice and her tongue. Now what's really messed up about this version is she doesn't just get legs and suddenly loves her new feet and can walk so nicely. Her legs are basically created in a way that each step she takes feels as though she is stepping on glass and as though somebody is stabbing her repeatedly. So it's extremely painful for her to walk. And in this version, in this original version, Ariel is actually unable to survive if she doesn't make the prince fall in love with her. So it's not just that she'll lose her voice forever, it's that she will die if he doesn't fall in love with her. Now, the prince actually goes on to believe that another woman had saved him, and so he was set to marry the woman who had saved him. Now, the fact that Ariel did not have her voice to tell him that it was her who saved him, he went on and married this other girl. And the sea witch comes back to the Little Mermaid and basically tells her that if she wants to live and be able to go on as if nothing happened, she has to go ahead and kill the prince. She never does this, and in turn, she turns into sea foam. Now, none of the other characters in this version were innocent either. The Little Mermaid's sisters would brag in this particular tale about luring sailors to their deaths, and the prince was not so charming after all. He would be entertained by female slaves at the palace. So not only was nobody what they were made out to be in the version that we love, but Ariel actually goes ahead and dies, turning into sea foam because the prince never falls in love with her. So I don't know about you with that one, but I am definitely very pleased that they changed it and created it into what it was, because I don't think it would have been quite as popular if that version had been released. The next one that I want to talk about with you guys is Cinderella. Now this one is just disturbing and gross, and it's just kind of really yucky. I mean, it's not that far-fetched from what we know. Well, like, it is, believe me, it is, but you'll get what I mean in a minute. So basically, much like the version that we're all familiar with, Cinderella goes to the ball, leaves behind a glass slipper after falling in love with the prince. Then the prince sets out on a wild quest to find the owner of this glass slipper, to find who it fits. Now, on his quest to find his true love, he winds up at the home of Cinderella, her wicked stepmother, and her wicked stepsisters. Now, in this version, in the original version, her stepsisters were so dead set on making the prince fall in love with them and marrying them, and marrying him, that they would go to gross extremes to make it happen. happen. So when the prince arrives, the first up to essentially try on the glass slipper was the eldest stepsister, but her toe would not fit. She had a big toe that would not fit into the glass slipper. So out of desperation, the wicked stepmother hands her a knife and tells her to cut off her big toe in order to fit into the glass slipper. She does what she's told. She cuts off her big toe, fits into the slipper. The prince is woohoo, and he takes her away, only to realize that there's a trail of blood and she is bleeding. So he comes to realize, hold on a second, this is not my princess, and he brings her back to the home. Next up is the youngest of the stepsisters, who could fit her toes into the glass slipper, but couldn't fit the back of her heel. She had like a larger back of her heel. So once again, as I'm sure you can imagine, the wicked stepmother hands her a knife and tells her to like cut as much skin as she can off of the back of her foot in order to be able to fit it into the glass slipper. She fits into the glass slipper. The prince goes to take her away and is once again fooled once he realizes her foot is all bloody and she is not the owner of this glass slipper. Well, that is when he once again returns back to the house, and Cinderella emerges from the kitchen where she tries on the glass slipper. It's a perfect fit and they live happily ever after. Now, I don't know about you, but not only is that just gross, the fact that these girls were so willing to take a knife and cut off the pieces of their foot to fit in the glass slipper, but if I was the prince, I wouldn't keep returning to this home where people keep cutting off parts of their feet to fit the slipper. Now this next one is Sleeping Beauty, and I have to say, out of all of the original fairy tales I have ever read, this is by far the most disturbing, dark, twisted, immoral, gross, just like, like it's so bad, you guys. Hence why I saved it for last. So in the very first version of Sleeping Beauty, things get disturbingly dark very, very quickly. Much like the version that we've all heard of, she does go ahead and prick her finger on a spindle and fall into essentially a deep sleep where people believe she will never awaken from. However, unlike how romantic and sweet the version that we love is, a king comes across where she is sleeping and falls in love with her unconscious body, so to speak. And he goes ahead and has his way with her while she is asleep, if you understand what I'm saying. Then the king just goes ahead and leaves her sleeping, unconscious still. However, in his actions of having his way with her unconscious body, he actually impregnates Sleeping Beauty with twins. Now, one thing I can say, if I do continue this as a series, they seem to have an infatuation with princesses and characters having twins. But he impregnates her with twins. And she is awoken not by true love's kiss, but by once she gives birth to the twins, one of the twins, in search of breast milk, begins just sucking, and he winds up sucking the flax from the spindle out of her finger that had put her into a deep sleep, and in turn waking her up. Now, the king hears of this and comes back, and they fall in love. Despite everything that he had done while she was asleep, they fall in love, except there's one big problem, you guys. The king is married to somebody else. His wife finds out. She goes ahead and tries to have the twins killed and fed to her husband, and actually also goes ahead and tries to burn the princess. However, she is unsuccessful, and the king and the princess, Sleeping Beauty, live happily ever after with their kids, which he impregnated her with while she was sleeping for being pricked with a spindle. I don't know about you guys, that one really, really grosses me out. It really freaks me out. I would be so disgusted if that had been what continued on to be the fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty. But that is the original Sleeping Beauty, and I was pretty shocked to find out about that one. Well, you guys, those are just 3 of our most classic fairy tales, original beginnings. I don't know about you, I'm very thankful that they were adapted into a more acceptable and romantic and loving version of them. The one that me out the most, like I said, is in fact Sleeping Beauty. I just find that to be so immoral. Actually, that is in fact so immoral. But for a story, it's just really, really gross to me. But believe it or not, there is an original creepy dark version of every single fairy tale that we've come to know and love over the years. And if you guys want to hear more of them, I will definitely turn this into a series and basically ruin your childhood as far as fairy tales go. Well, you guys, those are the top 3 that I decided to share with you guys today. Let me know if you've heard of these before. Let me know in the comments below what you think of them, and also let me know if this is something that you would like me to continue here on my channel, because I spent like 3 hours digging through all of these different fairy tales origins, and I was just like, are you kidding me? I was shocked. But let me know what you guys thought of today's video, and that is it for it. If you guys are new to my channel, or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would love it if you would go ahead and join the Reese's Pieces. We believe in the unbelievable, and honestly, they're just the best family on this entire world of the internet, and I am so, so, so thankful for each and every one of them. So we'd love to have you too. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it, because that makes my heart super happy, and I say it all the time, but I really do mean it. I love when I know that you guys enjoy the content that I create. And that is it. Remember, my loves, to do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.